Let's talk about histograms so you understand them better so that you can use them for photography. I'm Doug Gabbard, practicing photography. I'm going to show you how to use the histogram, or at least how to understand it. You can see the histogram on the back of your camera. I have a video, put a link up here somewhere so that you can see that on how to turn that on and off on your LCD on your camera. I'm going to use Photoshop today to show you how the histogram actually works, and I will also show you in Lightroom how you can use it in Lightroom to your advantage. So here we are in Photoshop. If you want to get a similar setup as I have, I minimized my tools over here and I only have my layers shown here that I want to see. If your histogram is not visible, click on Window and find Histogram. You can see I have a check on it. So click that and that'll show up. Now likely it'll be much smaller than this because I expanded the size of it for this video. The pixels are just a representation of how bright your pixels are and where they are on a spectrum of all white to all black. So if you get most of your pixels pushed to the right, that's called blowing out your highlights. In other words, it's way overexposed. If all of them are over there, it may not be a good photo. If they're all the way to the left, that's called crushing the blacks. Sometimes that's okay. There is no perfect histogram. The histogram is just telling you what your photo is made up of. It's not saying it's right or it's wrong. It's just telling you where your pixels land. So don't try to get the perfect image. All right, so let's start with black. I'm going to turn on my black layer, and it looks like the graph disappeared here. It didn't. If you notice, there's a thin line here. That means all the pixels are just piled up on one giant column, and it's all black. So I'm going to come over here and turn on my white layer and shut off my black layer. And you can see, if you didn't guess already, the line on the right, that's where all the pixels are. This is blowing out your highlights. This is crushing the blacks. So let's play a little bit with this. I'm going to pick this layer and choose the move tool, which is already chosen. And I am going to move this. And as we move this, you're going to see areas show up along here. So let's move this. I don't think it really matters which way. Let's go to the left, and you will start seeing pixels show up on the right. And let's go ahead and go with this. I wanted to demo this anyway. I am exposing just the white layer underneath it, not the photo itself. So if I get halfway across, or close to halfway across, half the pixels are on the left and half the pixels on the right. Nothing in the middle. There looks like there's a stray one there. Maybe there's an imperfection in my block. But if I keep moving it, eventually it will show all the pixels piled up on the right. Pretty awesome. So that's how those pixels work. So let me Control Z to put that back. Let's shut off this white layer. So we're just seeing the black, and what's underneath is this photo here. It says black and white here, but I've got these layers shut off so it's the color photo. So let's now move the black. Let's go the other way. And you'll notice the pixels are starting to light up. The pixels here are mostly white. I don't have a whole lot of dark areas here. There's some dark here, some dark along here, dark along here, and then all of this area. That's why this line is still higher than what the graph can go. So let's keep going. And as the pixels start spreading out, you're going to see that that left line will eventually start coming down as we keep going. But I still have a large black area there that is making that left side really high. And we're almost to the edge. It's a lot of black. And it never disappeared. Oh, there it goes. And there it is. It took getting all the way off of that. It didn't like, so that those blacks are totally blown out. So that line never really disappeared until I got it totally off. So let's do the same thing, but let's do it with the white layer. So we'll move it the opposite direction. Again, we are going to, gotta pick the layer. Once we choose the layer, I'm holding the shift key so I can move it a little bit faster than just the arrow key. That's how I'm moving the white layer. And you can see the white layer is exposing the photo as we move it, and the shadows are starting to pick up a little bit. I use this photo because there is shadows at the bottom of the photo. So we have some blacks. We have a black smokestack there. And that vertical line probably won't disappear until this white is totally off, because those are totally blown out and it's gone. All right, so now let's take a look. Let's put that back first. I'm going to shut this off. Now we're back to our normal photo. If I turn it to black and white, what do you think will happen? Do you think these will move? Well, let's see. Take your guess. We're going to show it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There. They moved a little bit, not a whole lot. So if you're enjoying this video and getting something out of it and you're learning, hit the like and subscribe. That really helps me a lot. So let's flip to Lightroom. Bring Lightroom on this screen, and we've got the same photo. So a lot of times when you edit photos, at least I did when I first started, I would immediately start playing with these different sliders. So I'm going to put them all back to the middle by double clicking on them. When you double click on the word, it will reset it to the 0 point for what the photo to look like originally. So this is a little bit brighter than I want. So there's a couple ways you can look at this. So let's think about the histogram, which is up here and it's got the colors and the white here for the luminosity. So we'll mostly be worried about the luminosity for right now. But if I wanted to make the shadows darker, I could take the shadows and move that to the left, and that'll make the shadows darker. Or if I wanted to recover the shadows and see them more, I can move it up to the right. And it's going to mostly affect shadows, and shadows is this area here. Shadows underneath here will be impacted. Any place where it looks like a shadow will be impacted. Maybe one of the whites to be whiter, so you come down here and hit whites and you move that right and left. But if you've been paying attention to the graph up above, that's here, as I move these different sliders, whether it's shadows or it's highlights or it's whites, it moves the histogram. So let's use the histogram instead of the sliders. Now, if you mouse over this, you'll notice I'm on the left and you can see a little highlight here from there to there. Underneath it, it says blacks. Well, when I stay there, it says black. So if I come down here, we have blacks. They're not in the same order. So if I go on the opposite side and look at this one, no click, just point to it, you can see the whites down below is highlighted. So if I come to the second spot, you can see shadows. If I hit the third one, it highlights exposure, which is going to be the midtones. And the next one will be highlights. So this is your histogram. So if you say you do not modify the histogram, anytime you move these, you're actually adjusting the histogram. So hopefully that'll help you out. So let's say we wanted to darken the shadows. We can just come up here to the shadow area and you can see the peaks here. So we know we've got some shadows there. So if I move those a little bit further, you can see you're impacting the shadows. And maybe we want the highlights to be a little bit brighter so we can push those to the right. And the blacks, let's lower the blacks a little bit to get the black a little bit darker black. And you notice the peaks start moving up the side. So we're starting to blow out some of the blacks, and maybe that's what you want. Now you don't see any patterns on these characters here in front, but they're still visible, but it might be what you're looking for. So the histogram, as I said at the beginning, it's really not that complicated. Will you use it? Maybe, maybe not. But when you get home and you look at your photos and boy, I can't recover anything there. That might be because everything is over here on the right and it's blown out, and the sky is not recoverable because it's blown out. So when you're taking photos, you can look at the histogram on the back of your camera. Don't trust the histogram or the LCD. Don't trust the LCD because it will lie to you. The LCD, you can change the brightness because it's too dark, and so you lower it so you don't get blinded. Or it's real bright, you can change the brightness of it so you can see it, and that's not affecting the photo, it's helping you see the LCD better. But the histogram, whether you're looking in Lightroom, Photoshop, or your camera, it will never lie to you. It says, this is what I see. This is where the pixels are landing if I put them on this graph. So use the histogram. You don't have to use it all the time, but understand what it's about. So when you're out in the field, especially if you're taking a landscape and you have a bright sky and some dark areas in the bottom, you're going to have some blacks crushed, you're going to have some whites overexposed, and you're going to be blowing out your highlights, and that's okay. You may have to do something called photo stacking, which is a whole new video for another day. This may or may not be the best edit on this photo, but that's what the histogram is about. The histogram is about where are the pixels? Where are they landing in relation to totally dark, black, to totally white, blown out. So this is Doug Gabbard practicing photography, getting better one photo at a time. See you next time.